Hi there, Nicole here today with some fussy cut watercolored florals. This card showcases components from the July 2016 Simon Says Stamp card kit. I have used all components from the kit and added or used the exclusive Simon Says Stamp painted friend die for my greeting, and then I did use a few pretty pink posh sequins from my stash, but all of the paper and everything and the stamps come from the kit. To start, I stamped the florals from the Floral Greetings stamp set included in the kit, also available for individual purchase if you do not want the whole kit. And I stamped these on some of the watercolor cardstock included in the kit using the Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink, and then I sprinkled on some white embossing powder. I have stamped 3 florals and then 4 of the leaf designs. And I'm just heating those up with my heat tool until they're completely embossed. Then I'm going to place a little blueprint sketch, Dusty Concord inks on an acrylic block, and I'm going to watercolor my florals with these 2 colors to kind of give them the look of hydrangeas. I'm using the watercolor brush pin from the July kit, and I'm simply picking that color up. The water that I have put in this marker, or in this pen, I guess I want to say, is helping watercolor that design. The embossed areas are resisting the ink, and I'm simply going to build up the color and keep coloring these images until I get the look I want. Just kind of laying down a little additional blue color here and there. I want to have some nice variation in color. I'm going to do that for the other 2 florals as well. I don't want them to all look exactly the same, so I'm kind of, some areas it might be lighter, one of the florals might be a little bit lighter, but I definitely want that really soft, pretty watercolored look. I will be fussy cutting all of these images that I'm watercoloring. Once this ink is completely dry, you're going to want to take a dry paper towel or something similar and kind of make sure you get any ink that is sitting on top of the embossed areas off, so that none of that ink is sitting on top of the white embossing. Okay, I accidentally got a little too aggressive with the water. Too much water came out of my pen. So what I ended up doing was just blotting that dry with a paper towel, and then I will go back and watercolor that. So I blotted it dry, but I'm letting it just air dry while I work on the leaves, and then I can go back here in a little bit. If you wanted to go ahead and go straight back to watercoloring the flower, I would suggest heating that with a heat tool to dry the paper quicker. I am using Forest Moss and Crushed Olive Distress inks for my leaves, laying down a nice base color of the Crushed Olive, and then going in with Forest Moss and adding a little darker color. After I did that first leaf, I went ahead and laid down my color for all of the other remaining leaves. I'm working pretty quickly because I don't want it to dry too much before I go in and add that dark color. You can see I'm not being real specific. I'm simply kind of just blotting that color in place and letting the water do its work, spread out a little bit, give it that nice natural kind of two-tone look. So there are my leaves. Again, I'm going to let those completely air dry. I did blend out a couple little areas I felt like needed blended. Clean off the tip of my marker, and I'm going to go back to my blues and purples and add some color to my other hydrangea. Once these are all colored in and completely dry, I ended up just sitting in front of the TV and then fussy cutting all of these images. It really did not take that long, but that way it just gave me a little something to do and made it go by so much quicker. Just buffing off the tops of all of those images. And I still wasn't very happy with my flower, so I did go back in and add even another layer. That way I didn't have to start all the way over by stamping and embossing and watercoloring yet another flower. Once I have all of those pieces fussy cut, I am taking a side fold card base from Simon Says Stamp and using a little milled lavender ink, I'm blotting it off on my scrap paper first so that I don't get any harsh foam circle shapes on my card, but I am only laying down that color in the center area of my card. I only want it to be the background for where I'm going to have my die cut and stamped greeting and all of those florals. And I'm going to just gradually build up the color till I have this nice soft purple background for all of the elements that I'm going to be adhering in on the center of my card. Just keep working that in using a nice light hand. I have a piece of fun foam here. It's actually a scrap from another project. It already has the Stick-It adhesive on both sides. So I used the Simon Says Stamp painted friend die and die cut that from there. That's going to make it a sticker on both sides. I'm also going to take that same die and run that through just from some of the white cardstock included in the kit. And then I'm going to lay everything out, make sure that I like how it looks, make sure that I don't need any more flowers or leaves or anything like that, and then I can start putting the entire design together. I want to add an additional greeting from the kit or from the stamp set, and so I trimmed a thin strip of the slate gray cardstock included in the kit. In fact, my first strip I thought was maybe a little too narrow, so I'm just going to set that aside, use that another time. I'm going to cut a little bit wider strip, use a powder tool on that. I'll go ahead and stamp my phrase on this strip using the clear embossing ink pad from Simon Says Stamp. I will sprinkle on a little white embossing powder and then heat that up. And I'm going to keep this strip long. It's actually going to go across the entire card front, and part of it's going to sit on top of the flowers and part of it's going to be tucked under. The white on that dark gray cardstock really pops, and it's a nice contrast to the rest of the card design. So there's kind of what it's going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and start putting everything together. I'm using a combination of the Glue Glider Pro adhesive and some glue dots to attach everything to my card. I've attached the die cut greeting there with the fun foam and the cardstock adhered on top right in the middle of my card. Tucked part of my gray greeting strip underneath the floral and then on top of the rest. I'll flip over my card and just trim off any of that excess. And then I'm going to finish my card design with a scattering of pretty pink posh sequins in those same really kind of pretty purple shades as well as some clear. I'm attaching all of these with some Zotz Bling glue dots. And that is going to finish off this pretty floral Hello Friend card created with the Simon Says Stamp July 2016 card kit. Thanks for joining me today. The supplies I've used to create this card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos showcasing Simon Says Stamp card kits that you might be interested in. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.